And energy, I'm not talking about I slept 12 hours last night, I have a lot of energy. Your sleep's going to help with that energy, but the energy is your vibrancy for life, what you're putting out there, the excitement that you bring in all that you do. Ask me about spirit, mind, body, money in person, and you're going to see what I mean about energy. It just lights me up. Try to bring that to everything that you can. And if you don't have that energy, what can you change? All right, it is Friday, which means it is time for another episode of Beyond the Notes. I want to thank you for coming back and joining me to hear more about this week's notes. Excited to go through these. I've got them down on my computer in front of me, so I'll be checking them up. But if you don't know what the notes are, you're stumbling across this channel, I'm new to you, you know what I'm talking about. If you go to justincastelli.io, see something pop up on the screen now, very top, daily notes. Every day I write a daily note. Sometimes they're short, sometimes they're longer, but they all connect to helping you align your spirit, mind, body, and money and pursuing your authentic life. Every morning I get up, I do my routine, not quite sure what I'm going to write. Through my meditation in the morning, I kind of download the daily note, and then I go write it and put it out in the morning. So these are written every single day. I don't know what it's going to be, and you can find them at justincastelli.io. Up top, daily notes, you can subscribe. You can also subscribe to LinkedIn, but you might as well subscribe to the email and not have to worry about having to log into LinkedIn to see those. So with that, let's get to the daily notes for this week. We're talking about May 6th through today, May 12th, and on May 6th, the subject matter, the topic of the daily note was get out of your own way. So last week, as I shared throughout social media and some of the writing last week or this past week, I was out in Las Vegas for a conference. I spoke on a panel about being yourself and being authentic. But really what's great about conferences is being around other financial advisors, being around my peers, and just catching up and having conversations. And there's a particular conversation with one advisor, but then that made me think about other conversations I've had throughout the years where he just couldn't get out of his own way. And I told him this. I said, hey man, you have everything you're describing that you want. Why are you worrying about these other things that you're trying to figure out? This is where we get, paralysis by analysis. We think through things so much. Are we doing the right things? And we kind of keep ourselves from moving forward. But we can also keep ourselves from recognizing that we have found our authentic life. We're doing everything we're supposed to do. And we don't have to worry about what others are saying or telling us we should be doing. So in this situation, this is an advisor. He's got all the business that he needs. He has a great balance between working at work and doing the thing that he loves, being with his family, a great team. Doesn't really need to grow right now. Kind of same stage of life that I'm in. Doesn't need to grow. Yet feels this pressure because he's at this conference that he needs to be creating content, doing video, writing blogs. And I just asked him, I said, do you need to grow? Well, no. Then why do you worry about writing anything if you don't want to? If you don't want to take the time to do that, you don't need to do it for growth, then don't do it. No, you don't have to do it. I love content. I will always be a content creator. Any business I might ever start in my life or new model or something, I'm always going to create content to drive attention to it. But that doesn't mean that everybody needs to create content. It doesn't mean it's the only way to grow something that you want to do. So if you don't need to do it, don't do it. Don't put that pressure on yourself because you're at a conference where everybody's talking about it and the panels are telling you how great it is. That's great because for people who want to grow, that might be the answer. But for somebody who has what they want for this stage of life, don't do it. Don't worry about it. Enjoy the fact that you've gotten to this point where you are and know that that's where you're at, and don't worry about outside influences telling you what you should or shouldn't be doing. So that's just one example, but I've talked to a bunch of different people that go back and forth about these goals that they have and these high aspirations that when you push them a little bit, they realize those aspirations really aren't theirs. They don't really want to grow a business to be $1 billion business. That's what they think they're supposed to do because they see other people talking about it, or they've put this thing in their head that they have to get to this level. But the reality of it is they can have a great life and live the life they want without going that big. So what's the point of going that big if you don't really need to? And that's where we start thinking things through and getting in our own way and preventing ourselves from reaching our own goals or preventing ourselves from being happy with the life that we have. So if you find yourself constantly thinking and constantly trying to evaluate, should I do this and do I need to do more? And just take a step back and ask yourself, why are you asking that? Why do you want to go bigger? Why do you want to do the next thing? Why are you thinking about doing this thing that you're thinking about? And does it really make your life better? Does it align with your authentic life? Does it help you move towards that vision of your authentic life? And if it doesn't, and you don't need to do it, then just mark it off the list and don't think twice about it. Don't keep yourself from being happy because you're always trying to do the next big thing. And I'm guilty of doing this in the past, but this is why I'm telling you about it, because I've lived it. I want to try to help you avoid living it or help you realize it sooner than you would have on your own. So get out of your own way. A lot of times we are our own worst enemy because we overthink, we complicate things, and either we don't allow ourselves to be happy or we don't allow ourselves to take action because we're trying to get everything figured out perfectly right. And we just, again, paralysis by analysis. So get out of your own way. That was the story. I have countless other ones there. I'm sure you have a story as well. Have you ever been in your own way? If so, drop a comment down there, be a little vulnerable, and share with us, how have you gotten in your own way before, and how did you get around it, and what was the outcome? My guess is when you get out of your own way, the outcome becomes positive. Let's move on to the seventh. So the seventh, really, really short, kind of tired getting back from the conference. And just a quote from Michael J. Fox. I saw this interview, and technically, this isn't his quote because the interviewee, I forget who it was, kind of reframed what he said, but I'm going to attribute the quote with him because the idea was his. And basically, he said, with gratitude, optimism is sustainable. So if you don't know Michael J. Fox's story, you must be really young. But anyways, real quick, very successful actor, developed Parkinson's, has had it for, I think, 20 years now, and it just continuing to get worse. Shakes very hard, has a lot of pain, yet he allows himself to remain optimistic and be happy and grateful to be alive. Sucks for him, and he admits it sucks, but also he remains optimistic because he focuses on the things to be grateful for. And when you're going on your pursuit, and just life in general, maybe if you don't know what your authentic life is, and maybe what I'm talking about hasn't resonated with you yet, but you're catching this video, just, optimism, I think, is a cheat code in life. If you look at the people that reach success, however you define that, my guess is they are not a pessimistic individual. My guess is they are not negative. My guess is they are positive and they're optimistic. And if we go back to the law of attraction, if you're positive and optimistic, you're putting out a high frequency of energy, and that attracts high frequency of energy to you. You're putting out low energy, being pessimistic or negative, that's going to pull negative and low energy to you. So it makes sense that the most successful people, however you define that, or the happiest people, are probably high energy, high vibration, optimistic people. Now, optimism does not mean you throw out and pretend like there aren't things that need to be fixed, there aren't bad things going on in the world, but you just don't let that hijack the energy and the frequency that you put out. And if you're struggling to be optimistic, there's tons of reasons out there that you could feel pessimistic. And depending on who you're around and the content you're consuming and the stories you're listening to, you could see the world as very, very bad. And yes, there's crappy stuff going on, but there is far more great. People are good people by nature. There are more good people than there are bad. Those things don't sell headlines, which means they don't make the news because they can't make money selling advertising because for whatever reason, our brains are not wired to want to hear good stories. We want to see the car crash. Depending on where you are, what you're consuming, who you're surrounded by, you may have a hard time. But if you want to change that, focus on being grateful. No matter your scenario, whatever it is, you could be rock bottom right now. There is something in your life, somebody in your life you can be grateful for. Shift your energy on that. Focus on that. Pray, meditate, whatever it is you do to be thankful around it and highlight that. Tell that person if it is a person that you're grateful for them, but focus on that. And when you find one thing to be grateful for, it's a little bit easier to find another, and then another, and then another. And then you have begun to turn the energy around and begin to go more finding the things that you're grateful for to become more optimistic. Because when you're grateful, that's a positive. You're happy, and you see the good and not the bad. So if you're struggling to be optimistic, which I think is the best way to be, and I don't think you reach your authentic life, take that back. I know you won't reach your authentic life without being optimistic. If that's not you, focus on finding things to be grateful for and allow that to shift your focus, shift your energy to become more optimistic. Gratitude is going to get you there. Nobody better to tell you that than Michael J. Fox. So speaking of kind of shifting and controlling, bring the energy. That was the 8th daily note. And this was another one inspired by my time in Vegas. There was a gentleman by the name of Ramon Ray. He was the opening speaker, and he was phenomenal. His energy was out of this world. It was next level energy, and it was not fake, which was what was really cool. So on stage, very loud, get your attention, but not loud in an obnoxious way. I think it's because it was authentically him. I think if you were to replace him with somebody trying to put out that energy, but that was not really them, the loudness of the presentation would be annoying. But because that was him and it was authentic, it wasn't bothersome. Great conversation, talking about how to leverage social media and LinkedIn and grow your business. But the energy was great. And when you talked to Ramon off of the stage, the energy continued. And I got a chance to spend a little bit of time with him at lunch. And again, the energy continued. And the thing is, that made me think about it is, Ramon has sold multiple businesses. He's talked to Barack Obama. He's going to be at VCon here in Indianapolis next week. He knows Gary Vee. All these great opportunities for him. Hard work gets him there. Being good at what he does gets him there. But he doesn't get there if he doesn't bring the energy. Because the energy, again, attracts. And he has high energy, which is attracting high results. So if you want to have high results, you have to bring the energy. And energy, I'm not talking about I slept 12 hours last night, I have a lot of energy. Your sleep's going to help with that energy. But the energy is your vibrancy for life, what you're putting out there, the excitement that you bring in all that you do. Ask me about spirit, mind, body, and money in person, and you're going to see what I mean about energy. It just lights me up. Try to bring that to everything that you can. And if you don't have that energy, what can you change? I'm going to record a video next week. I'm going to try to do some more videos that are the cringeworthy 5 things too, but 4 or 5 ways to increase your energy if it is low. One of the things you can do is make sure you're doing things that you enjoy. This is why the P in pursuit, PRST, passion. Follow your passions. Increase your passion in your life, because your passion is going to always bring high energy because it's what you love. It comes from your heart. That's always going to be high energy. So if you're struggling to find that energy, make sure you're doing more things that you enjoy. And that energy will continue over, even if you have to do something that you don't enjoy as much as your passion. That energy doesn't go away that quickly. Surround yourself with people that feed your energy, that are high energy as well. Birds of a feather flock together. We've talked about that in the past. If you're rolling with a bunch of low energy people, you're going to be low energy as well. It's contagious. Change the people you're with. I've got more to share next week, but bring the energy. And in the reel that I did on this note, I asked Silas about this. He joined me on it. And I told him, energy is one of the things that you can control. Doesn't always mean it's easy, but you control the energy that you put out. And the energy that you put out has influence on what comes to you. So I would encourage you, as you go on your pursuit, when you're living your authentic life or you're pursuing it, to always bring the energy. And yes, some days your energy might be a little bit lower than it was the day before, but it's the excitement and vibrance that you put out. Bring as much as you can every single day to everything that you do, and good things will happen. And that's one of those things you just have to trust me on, but I've seen it happen enough, I've experienced enough, and I've read about it enough to tell you that it's true, but it's up to you to bring the energy to see it. And now that you're aware of it, when you bring that energy and you see the outcome, that's when you begin to believe this and you do more. And the more you bring the energy, the more the high energy things come to you, and now you become a believer and your shift kind of goes there. Go back to the previous note I just mentioned. If you're struggling with this, having a hard time bringing the energy, optimism feeds into that. Focus on what you're grateful for. Use that as the foundation and build from there. And then once you figure out how to bring that energy in everything that you do, bring it. Not just to work, bring it to the relationships, bring it to home, bring it to your friends, bring it to the gym. Whatever it is you do, always bring the energy with you. And one of the things I've noticed personally, this may not be the case for you, but the more energy I bring, the more energy I have throughout the day. Meaning, my body starts to get tired later in the evening because that energy is continuing through. If I have a day where I'm not as energized or I'm not doing things that I love and my energy falls down, which happens to all of us, I find myself physically getting tired earlier. But when I'm high energy all day long, that thing is humming all the way through and I have a lot more energy later into the day and I get more done. So the energy is very important and you control that. So bring it every chance that you can. All right, the 9th, had a little bit of a kind of a, sentimental moment. Revisiting the pursuit origin story. So I've been writing daily notes now for over 130 days, and I'm just looking back over kind of the journey that it's gone and how much fun I've had and the impact it's had. At Jolt, I had a lot of people, which if you were one of those people who came up to me and you're watching this or listening to this, thank you very much for sharing the words of encouragement or the words of appreciation around the daily notes. Truthfully, I write the daily notes mostly for myself to get started with the hopes that it resonates with you and impacts other people. But these are just as much a reminder and me talking to myself as it is me talking to you. But I was just thinking about the journey, and this all started, initially when I think about the start date, it was when I launched Pursuit, the brand, PRST. And it started for passions, relationships, self, and time. And in this note, I talk about how I used to describe pursuit. And the goal behind it was I wanted the people to find and live the life they felt they were supposed to live, not the one that others told them. I wanted them to minimize regret and maximize happiness. And it was this long, rambling statement, but I could never quite get the thoughts. But I knew what I wanted it to be. I just basically wanted people to live their authentic life. And through exploring and reading and kind of doing these notes, I realized, the way that I think you can find your authentic life is the connection of spirit, mind, body, and then you bring money in. And that is when all of this kind of took off. And through this last year of pursuit and my personal journey, there's been a little bit of shift. And hopefully you haven't noticed, but when I tell you this, maybe it'll make more sense. I've shifted pursuit to be kind of something more in the background. And the focus is more about my thoughts and my words in this concept of connecting spirit, mind, body, money in the pursuit of the authentic life. And then Pursuit, the brand, is where my non-financial advisor ways, the non-regulated ways to be able to help people with that, the content, the free downloads, and some things I have in the works that aren't from me as a financial advisor, more of me as an individual putting these things out there. So I have this place that it can live. And then as I begin to grow in my space as the guy for spirit, mind, body, and money, Pursuit will elevate with it, and some of the goals I've shared for it in the past will come to fruition down the road. But rather than build that brand, I want to evolve what I'm known for, and as I rise up in this space, then Pursuit goes with it. So Pursuit is still there. It still stands for passion, relationship, self, and time. Those are the key things I think help, and those tie into spirit, mind, body, and money. So everything is all connected. And I was just looking back over it, over the, beyond the, I think about the start date of creating Pursuit, the website, all of that, but I see these breadcrumbs that I mentioned in the note along the way. And of course, I sit where I sit today talking about the things I'm talking about as I look back over the last, 6 or 7 years throughout owning my own firm, but I can even go further back. I've talked about The Legend of Bagger Vance and the scene where Will Smith talks about the authentic swing. And when I came up with using authentic life and the immediate connection there, and it's almost like there was a little bit of a breadcrumb left back in high school when that movie came out, and that scene and that concept stuck with me, so that when I got to where I was, in December, I could make that connection between the authentic swing and what Will Smith talks about and the authentic life, the one life that we all have to live that makes us our best. They're one and the same, just different things after the word authentic. So all these breadcrumbs along the way. The website, RLS Wealth's website, redid it 4 or 5 years ago, worked with a friend of mine. Phenomenal. The copy on it's great. I love the design. The website still works for where I am today and the future of RLS Wealth being Life Design Plus. But even the words, your champion for life's pursuit. Life's pursuits. When I came up with Pursuit, maybe it was in my subconscious, but I did not intentionally say, hey, let's create this brand called Pursuit because I have it on my website. It wasn't until this year that I looked back and I was like, holy shit, it's on both of them. Of course I am here. All was moving that way. So I've read a book called The Quantum Warrior, and in it, the author John Kehoe talks about how we should leave signs for ourself. There's these different timelines that we exist on. It's out there. I don't know how I feel about it yet, but it's interesting reads. But nonetheless, there's the different timeline. So now I'm thinking, was it, me from the future leaving a note for myself with the authentic swing, leaving a note for myself with Pursuit on the website, so that as I went this direction, I could make these connections and keep finding my way? I don't know. Divine intervention, the universe, my future self leaving me notes. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I just know that it's not a coincidence. And these are just signs telling me. I bring all this up because there are breadcrumbs for you, I'm sure. Where you sit today or where you're wanting to go, if you look back over your life, there are going to be things that are guiding you and giving you little signs and confidence to move in the direction that you're going. Don't miss them. And I have noticed more and more of them as I have been more present. Cut things out of my life that don't align with my spirit, mind, body, money, or where I'm going with this effort. Allows me to be more present, less things running around in my mind, so I can be more observant and take these things in. So it was fun to go back. It was fun to share a little bit more about the why. Some of you coming to Daily Notes today don't even know what Pursuit is, and you see PRST and you see me capitalize Pursuit. Why would you do that? There's an origin story back there, and now it's going to evolve. And today, Pursuit has moved more towards the focus of being the Daily Notes and that being the hub and branching out from there. But Pursuit is very much embedded in these daily notes. Passions, relationships, self, and time is the key way back then to find your authentic life. The life that you would live with minimizing regret and maximum happiness and living the life you were supposed to live. All those words, authentic life is how I can summarize that. Those 4 letters, passions, relationships, 4 letters, find their ways into spirit, mind, body, and money as well. So it's really cool to see all of these things pulling together and getting more and more clear, more and more efficient as I go. A little bit longer on that one, but I felt like the origin story deserved a little bit more behind it. And the next 2 are pretty short anyways. So on the 10th, I was in yoga. On the 9th, I was in my yoga class. And there's a cue that I get from this one instructor. Shout out to Precious. And it's usually when we're doing a backward bending position. So we were in camel, which is you're basically bent backwards. You're on your knees, bending backwards. And her cue is where your eyes look, your body will go. And she's telling us this because in order to get further into the bend or get your chest higher up, you need to look further back. And as you look, your body will go and bend more. If you're trying to look forward or you're looking straight, you're not going to be able to bend as much. So where your eyes go, your body is going to follow. And it's a very powerful cue, and it always gets me to go a little bit deeper. So I'm glad that she says that. But it made me think about, well, that's true of certain other things in our pursuit. Where your thoughts go, your body, your physical body will end up following. Where your eyes go, if you think about your vision of where you want to go, what your authentic life looks, where that is, and if you hold that in and you believe in it, that's where your body's going to go. So where your energy goes, high energy is going to take you to high energy places. So just like where your eyes go, your body will follow in yoga. Where your energy goes, where your thoughts go, where your self-talk goes, where the future version of yourself that you're embodying goes, where your habits and routine go, your body in this physical world is going to go as well. And again, those are all things that you can control. You control all of those. There are influences on them, and it's not always easy to control them, but you control them. And if you can control those and you can gain control of those and protect them, then you are going to have a greater chance of living our authentic life and not getting in your own way. It's pretty cool how these things kind of connect, and I just realized it in the moment. So just like in yoga, your body is a receiver of inputs, and the inputs you can control. So where those inputs go is where your body and your experience is going to go as well, and you have control over that. And finally, 2 more left, sorry. On the 11th, so yesterday, what they will remember about you is the name of the note. And I've really been diving into a lot of Kevin Kelly's content. I've heard a couple podcasts with him. He has a newer book out that I bought. And they're just little short quotes, things he wished he knew at a younger age. And the quote that stood out to me was, I'm going to read it. Before you are old, attend as many funerals as you can bear. And listen, nobody talks about the departed's achievements. The only thing people will remember is what kind of person you were while you were achieving. And I really like that because obviously we have goals and aspirations, and we have things we think are important that we're going to achieve, but they're not that important to anybody else. People will be happy for us, they'll celebrate it with you, but at the end of the day, your achievements mean nothing to other people unless you cure cancer or there's some outliers out there that people will remember for you forever. But for the most part, you reach the achievement within a handful of hours, people are on to the next thing. They're not remembering it. You will remember it, and it will be important to you, but what people will remember over the achievements is who you were while you had those achievements, while you achieved those achievements. That's what's more important. So when you think about going in your authentic life and going on your pursuit and you have these goals, don't change them, but focus more on, as you pursue that goal and you pursue that life, focus more on who you are as you get there, because that's going to be more important. And then the crazy thing about it is eventually, even though people are going to remember who you are, not what you did, eventually there's going to be no one left to remember who you were. So even being a great person has a finite lifespan before people don't even know who you are. And maybe we today have an opportunity to live longer than those who came before us, because hopefully my YouTube channel doesn't ever go away. So somebody 125 years, 300 years from now might come across my channel and hear these things and remember, hey, that guy seemed like a good guy. But eventually, there's going to be no one that knows you or has heard stories about you. So even the good person that you are, that memory is going to go away. But it will live a lot longer than the achievements you received, whether it was achieving a net worth or a position at work or whatever it might be, winning a national championship. All of those achievements are great for you, but they don't define you. What defines you is who you were as you hit those achievements. So just remember that. Treat people well, put people before yourself, be loving, be kind, be generous, be grateful, and all of those things will be way more impactful to the people's lives you come across than the things that you actually do. And I remind myself that. Hopefully these videos and things have an impact, but it's more important of how I treat people and who I am when I actually talk to people versus when I'm looking at a camera going over these notes each week. All right, final one before I run out of time on the camera. Today's was called Just Show Up. And if I'm being honest with you, I stayed up too late last night. And my morning routine was a little groggy. I didn't get to meditate. Fridays are my day to take the boys to the local coffee shop. I've been doing that for 6 or 7 years. And usually I have enough time to squeeze in a quick one before I take Leo. Today I didn't have that. So I just, you know what? I'm not going to miss my daily note. And if I miss my daily note, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But I don't want to miss. I go back to Seth Godin saying he made a promise to show up every single day, and he has for years. And I wouldn't mind having the audience that Seth Godin has one day to be able to help as many people as possible connect spirit, mind, body, money, and find their authentic life. And if showing up every day is going to help me get there, then I'm going to show up. But every day may not be a long post, and it may not be a thoughtful quote. The Michael J. Fox one, that was really short, but that was intentional. Today's, I just say, hey, I don't have a long thought for you. I don't have a quote. I don't have anything major that I want to say, but I'm going to show up. I'm going to have a post for you. So if you're looking forward to your daily note when you get up, you're going to have one from me. I'm there for you. I'm there to cheer you on. Keep on pursuing. But you know what? Sometimes you just need to show up to keep the momentum going. So my momentum continued to go by sharing a note. And interestingly enough, as I think about it more, I think that this note may be more impactful than I realize. Because my guess is there's somebody out there, in the over 1,000 people who subscribe, that was getting ready to break a string or was going to give up on something, and maybe just telling them, hey, it's okay if you just show up. You don't have to have the best daily note today. You don't have to have the best, even the best energy today, but just showing up to keep things going and not turning back and giving up. Last week, I think it was last week, you talked about this is pointless. The Jack Butcher illustration and kind of how I was thinking about some things. Just show up. It's not pointless. Just keep on showing up. There's a greater purpose. Things take time. You don't always have to be on and being your best. Showing up is sometimes your best for that day, and that's okay. So I just showed up, and I already got a couple emails back of people liking it. So I love it. What was meant to be a post to keep the string going ended up being meaningful to at least 2 people so far, so it's a success. And hopefully it'll be meaningful in the future when someone comes across it, when they're just ready to give up or they're questioning why they do it, and they just show up, give it another day, they get through the little hurdle, and they go on and they keep things going and they get to where they want to be. So sometimes just showing up is enough. All right, that is it for this week's Daily Notes. I want to thank you for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, I would love a thumbs up, a like, a comment if any of this resonated with you and you enjoyed it. Help this thing find its way into the algos so it can be spread to more people and help more people. If you're listening to this on the podcast, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, leave a star rating, leave a comment if you will. I hate asking, but that's the game I have to play, and I'm willing to play it because I think this message and what I have to say will help people, and I need your help to get this in front of more people to help more people. So I'm going to ask. With that, I'll let you get to your day. Thank you for tuning in as always. It's an honor to be on a part of your pursuit. Thank you for joining on mine, and let's keep pursuing.